Do you ever meet someone who seems ordinary? Like painfully ordinary? Quiet, slow, even a little lost? But when life throws fire at them, they don't break. They transform. Yeah, this story's about that kind of soul. There was once a potter named Evan Kleiner. Simple name, simple life. He lived in a small town hugging the bend of a lazy river. Evan wasn't famous. He wasn't rich. Hell, he wasn't even that talkative. He just worked slow, steady, day after day, shaping clay with fingers that looked like they'd been carved by time itself. Most folks in town thought he'd wasted his life.
Oi, Evan mate, still playing with mud?
Come on, bro, you could have done anything else, said another, half joking. Du bist zu langsam, Evan, an old Swiss trader once laughed. Too slow. But Evan didn't argue. He'd just smile, nod politely, and keep turning his wheel. Quiet, peaceful, predictable, until one stormy night, everything changed. The river that had been his friend turned into a beast. Rain slammed down, sheets of silver cutting through the dark. By midnight, the river burst its banks, swallowing the lower half of the town. People were screaming, scrambling, homes breaking like paper boats. Evan's small workshop stood right on the edge of the flood zone. He had maybe a few minutes before everything would be gone. Most folks ran uphill. Evan didn't. He stayed, because inside that tiny workshop were hundreds of clay pots, each handcrafted, each holding a story. Years of his quiet labor, waiting to be fired, finished, and sold. He looked at them, all that work, all that love, about to drown. And something inside him said, not yet. Now here's the thing about potters. They know fire. They know heat and how it changes things. But that night, Evan was about to meet fire in a way he never had before. When the floodwaters hit his furnace, the roof cracked. Flames burst out, sparks flying like angry stars. Anyone else would have bolted. But Evan, he pulled his coat tighter and kept working. He grabbed the raw, wet pots one by one, tossing them into the flames, turning the wheel, reshaping the ones that cracked, whispering under his breath, "You're not done yet." Neither am I. The whole workshop looked like a scene from hell. Fire, water, chaos, and in the middle of it all stood this calm, soaked man covered in mud and ash, saving what he could. By morning, the fire had died. The flood had taken half the town, and Evan's workshop was nothing but ruin. People assumed he'd lost everything. But when they came to check, they found something strange. In the ashes stood a dozen perfect clay pots, untouched by water, hardened by flame, glowing faintly in the sunrise. A few weeks later, the town began rebuilding. Most of Evan's neighbors had given up hope, complaining, fighting, waiting for help that never came. But Evan, he rebuilt alone, slowly, silently, until one day, a traveler, a woman from Oslo, Norway, stopped by his new shop. She picked up one of the surviving pots and gasped. "This texture," she said softly, "it's different. It feels alive." Evan smiled a little. "That one went through the storm," he said. Word spread. Collectors came from all over. Zurich, Toronto, Sydney, London, Dubai, even Munich. Everyone wanted the Storm series, the pots that had survived both fire and flood. Within months, Evan Kleiner, the man everyone called too slow, too simple, too ordinary, and became the most talked about potter in Europe. But when reporters asked for his secret, he said something that left them stunned. "The secret," he said, wiping clay from his hands. "It's simple. Clay that's never been through the fire never finds its strength. You see, that's the thing about life. We all want strength, resilience, success, confidence. But we don't want the fire that forges it. We pray for calm seas, but calm seas don't make skilled sailors. We beg the universe for blessings, but sometimes the blessing is the storm." Evan didn't learn that from books or podcasts or TikTok quotes. He learned it by losing everything, by standing in a burning workshop and deciding that fear wasn't going to decide his story. Now imagine if he'd run away that night, if he'd saved his body but lost his art, if he'd chosen safety over purpose. We wouldn't be talking about him. He'd just be another quiet man who once made pots by a river. But because he stayed, because he faced the heat, his ordinary hands created something extraordinary. And that's when I realized, we're all clay. Every heartbreak, every failure, every rejection, that's the fire. And it hurts, it burns. But when it's over, you don't just survive, you transform. Let me talk straight to you now. Maybe you're going through something right now. A storm in your career, a breakup, a loss. Maybe just that quiet emptiness that hits at 2 a.m. And you're thinking, why me? Why can't life just give me a break? I get it. But maybe, and just maybe, this is your fire. The one you need to pass through. The one that's shaping you into someone you can't even imagine yet. You see, Evan didn't know that the storm was a blessing in disguise. He just did what he could with what he had where he was. That's courage. Not the loud kind, not the Hollywood kind. The quiet, stubborn kind that says, I'll stand my ground even if everything around me burns. Years later, one of Evan's pots was displayed in an art museum in Paris. The Musée des Arts Décoratifs, right next to pieces from masters of the craft. Underneath it, the plaque read, Forged by fire, saved by hands. Visitors stood there, touching the smooth lines, tracing the tiny cracks that had turned into patterns of beauty. And somewhere in the crowd, a young artist whispered to his friend, Mate, I want to be like that guy. Not famous, just real. Because that's the thing, Evan never tried to impress anyone. He just stayed authentic, even when nobody was watching. And that authenticity became his masterpiece. Years later, Evan returned to the same riverbank where it all began. He was older now, beard silver, hands steady. The river had calmed. The town had grown. He sat there quietly, watching the water flow. And as the sun dipped below the hills, he whispered, Thank you for the fire. He wasn't thanking fate. He wasn't thanking luck. He was thanking the pain. Because it was the pain that revealed his power. Maybe you're clay right now, soft, unsure, fragile. Maybe life's putting you in the fire, testing, breaking, reshaping you. Don't run. The fire isn't there to destroy you. It's there to define you. Because the strongest pottery isn't the one with no cracks. It's the one that's been through enough heat to never shatter again. So when life burns, don't say, why me? Say, try me. You know, we live in a world obsessed with fast results. Instant success, overnight fame, microwave happiness. But real strength, that's slow-cooked. That's earned in silence, like Evan Kleiner's hands, turning the wheel day after day, shaping not just clay, but character. And maybe that's the real secret. The fire didn't make him special. It just revealed what was already there, hidden, quiet, waiting, inside every one of us. Somewhere right now, someone's mocking your pace. They're saying you're too slow, too soft, too late. Let them talk. Clay doesn't argue with fire. It just becomes something fire can't break. So when your storm comes, and it will, remember Evan Kleiner. Remember the man who stayed, the man who whispered to the flames, You can burn my walls, but you'll never break my will. Strength isn't found in avoiding the fire. It's found in becoming through it.